So this week's chapter is nothing short of insane. But before that, as always, we're going to do a quick recap of what happened in the previous chapter. So in the previous chapter, we saw the communication systems on Egghead being completely shut down. We also saw the Straw Hats being split into different search party groups, with Group 1 being Nami, Brooke, and Edison, Group 2 being Robin, Chopper, and Atlas, Group 3 being Sanji, Jinbei, and Stussy, and Group 4 being Frankie, Usopp, Lilith, and York. We also saw the fourth group finding Pythagoras after the explosion in chapter 1074, and it was revealed that Pythagoras had actually survived the explosion through ejecting his head and leaving his main body behind. Group 4 also got attacked by S-Snake, and York ended up being turned into stone. And then back at the main lab, we saw Luffy, Zoro, and Shaka being attacked by S-Bear and S-Hawk, with Zoro protecting a cuffed Lucci and Kaku. And then we got the huge reveal that Lucci and Kaku want to team up with Luffy and Zoro in order to take down the Seraphims. And then we got to see that amazing panel right at the end. But back to this week's chapter. The chapter begins where the last one ended, with Zoro hearing Nami scream in the distance, so he says that they need to protect all the Vegapunks and help their Nakama too, with the note that we don't see anything about the other groups in this chapter. Luffy and Zoro decide that they need to finish the fight quickly, because they can't keep carrying CP0 around. Kaku then has a conversation with Luffy, with Kaku saying, "If we manage to go through this together, I will allow you to cuff me again." Luffy then says, "Oh, you will? Fine then," with his iconic laugh. Luffy then turns to Lucci and says, "If we finish this fight, you won't take it out on my Nakama or Vegapunk just because you can't beat me, right?" Lucci then says, "Fine by me, I want to kill you first anyway, and after you're dead, all of your Nakama will end up dead too." So we have that typical Lucci attitude, even whilst being handcuffed and in a potentially near-death situation. Shaka then gives the handcuff key to Luffy, and Shaka says, "You are free to do anything you want as long as you ensure Stella's safety." Luffy then releases Lucci and Kaku, although Zoro doesn't seem to trust them. Luffy and Lucci then fight S-Bear, whilst Zoro and Kaku fight S-Hawk, with Luffy using Gear 4 and Lucci using his hybrid form, but it's noted that it's not his awakened form. Kaku doesn't transform, and we also get the reveal that S-Hawk has the Super no Mi, which, if you don't know, are the powers from Daz or Mr. One back in Alabasta, and that implies that his body has the characteristics of steel. So this is quite interesting, because we think that from the looks of it, S-Hawk will probably end up utilizing this Devil Fruit a lot differently from how Mr. One did, but it's also a really neat callback, specifically because it was an opponent that Zoro fought, and a pretty significant opponent at the time, being the first major arc in One Piece, the Alabasta arc. So with it being on a child version of Mihawk, it's kind of a neat little throwback that they've got in there. We also see an amazing double spread of Luffy, Lucci, Zoro, and Kaku using their combo attacks against S-Bear and S-Hawk, with Luffy using his Gomu Gomu no Kongan, Lucci using his Roku Ugan, Zoro using his Rengoku Onigiri, and Kaku using his Renyaku Hakura. Both Seraphims are then blown out of the building, and we cut to Vegapunk, the stellar Vegapunk, waking up inside a secret prison within the laboratory. Vegapunk is now an old man again, but he's injured and cuffed in chains. Vegapunk is locked up with some Cypher Pole agents who went missing a number of weeks/months ago, specifically from Cypher Pole number 5, number 7, and number 8. So we kind of got alluded to this a few chapters ago, with Lucci mentioning that some CP0 agents had tried to go to the island and have not seemed to have returned. Vegapunk wonders how he ended up in prison, and says that it's curious how his poneglyph research got leaked to the world government. We cut out of Egghead Island, and we hear that some communications from different marine bases are saying that more than 100 ships are now heading to Egghead Island. And then we cut to Elbaf, specifically in a bar near the coast, with Shanks and the red-haired pirates drinking inside. A giant kid asks Shanks if he can go with them on their ship, but Shanks refuses, kind of paralleling Luffy from chapter 1, the bar lady tells the giant kid to just give up. Some ships from the red-haired pirates fleet are near the island, and they inform Shanks that the kid pirates are approaching Elbaf, and the red-haired pirates are talking about it. Ben Beckman says, "Our enemy must be angry," with Lucky Roo saying, "Look who's talking. Who do you think they have a grudge against?" Shanks then says, "Looks like I spent too much time talking. It can't be helped since I've just met some old friends who I thought were dead." Shanks gets up from the table and continues talking. Shanks then says, "I don't want to cause too much damage to this place. Will you help me out? Dory and Broggy." That's right, they are back. So if you don't remember, on the way to Alabasta, specifically on an island called Little Garden, we actually first met Dory and Broggy, who were in a over 100-year battle against each other. And then thanks to the Straw Hats, they were finally able to, I guess, overcome this battle and help them flee Little Garden. So I guess they've made their way back to Elbaf, and it appears that even before that, they were friends with Shanks. So that's a pretty crazy reveal. In another incredible double page, we also see that the red-haired pirates are drinking with Broggy, Dory, Kasi, Oimo, and other giants. We can see that all of them really appreciate Shanks. Dory and Broggy say, "Of course, brother, we are ready to help you fight." Shanks walks to the battle with Dory and Broggy, and Shanks tells Rockstar to go ahead and talk with Kid before the battle starts. Shanks says, "Rockstar, tell that kid he can fight against us now, or he can surrender the road poneglyph and leave." The Kid Pirates ship is fighting other ships from the Red-haired fleet in the sea, and Killer talks to Kid, with Killer saying, "Kid, during our previous fight, you couldn't even get to see Shanks' face. This time, you might not just lose an arm." Kid then says, "We can worry about that if we actually lose." The chapter ends with Shanks walking towards the coast with the other captains cheering for him. End of chapter, and we've actually got a break next week. So like I said, some super insane stuff coming out in this chapter. Even the fact that we got to see Shanks in another chapter again so soon from the last one, I'm feeling very blessed, that's for sure. But also something really interesting is up until now we thought that it was Shanks who had took Kid's arm, but it seems to imply that it was in fact Ben Beckman who took Kid's arm during the time skip. So it's going to be really, really hype to hopefully see a rematch against Kid and Ben Beckman, and maybe even a fight against Kid and Shanks. Also, the fact that Dory and Broggy are confirmed to be allies of Shanks, I feel like Elbaf is almost guaranteed to be the next location for the Straw Hats, and the kind of things that we might get revealed about on Elbaf are going to be crazy, especially with a potential reuniting of Luffy with Dory and Broggy, and also Shanks and the crew. It's really looking like Oda is pulling out everything for Endgame One Piece right now. And I couldn't be happier to be a fan at the time that I am, that's for sure. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this chapter in the comments. Let me know how you think that this Kid versus Shanks war is going to turn out, who might be the victor. But yeah, that's it from me. Hope you guys have a great one, and I'll see you in the next one.